Aaron Banks, starting left guard for the 49ers, the first two OTAs in front of the media, spoke to the media today and confirmed that he has lost body fat. What is your take on Aaron Banks?
This was really interesting. So I've got a couple directions that I want to go with this one. First of all, I remember last week I said, "Hey, is there anybody?" In fact, it wasn't even me. I think it was a comment. Somebody had asked if anybody's body had changed. You're like, Aaron Banks." That was the one guy you said. Well, Aaron Banks confirmed that his body certainly did change. Lost a lot of body fat, gained muscle, still weighing 330 pounds. So that's good. It's all functional weight that he's been able to replace. So that's great news. But then the question has to become, why? Why was this man drafted in the second round ahead of so many talented players, knowing that he probably had to sit a year and change his body completely just to get onto the field? Right. And I hope it works out. I'm really rooting for Aaron Banks. I think Aaron Banks is probably going to be fine, actually. I mean, you said it yourself. I think last time we talked, if you're sitting between a great left tackle and a center and Mac, you're going to probably be okay. But that being said, why? That's the only question I have. Why? You could have, most likely you could have had this man in the third round. If you really, really wanted Aaron Banks, you could have waited, right? And so he sat a whole year. You played him out of position. He had to change and remake his whole body to be ready for this year. It still seems odd that this man was taken in round 2 with such high priority, the way that they made it last year.
Yeah, it was probably a mistake. But I think the idea was that once Trey Lance took over, the run game was going to fundamentally change. Because with Jimmy, it was like 2-to-1 runs from under center to runs from the gun.
Mm-hmm.
And the runs from the gun were more like, as sort of a change up and passing downs just to keep him honest, because Jimmy wasn't a factor in that. They were all about the outside runs from under center. And once Lance becomes the quarterback, it's still going to be part of the offense, but a much smaller part. And with the quarterback, the 11-on-11 run game, you have a lot of running backs up the gut. And if you're going to do that, you're going to need a really good guard. So I think that's what they were thinking. I think they were preparing for this year. I think the Niners, drafted Trey Lance with an eye, planning to sit him for a year. So I think they also plan to maybe sit Banks. I don't know. But I think the whole Trey Lance, Aaron Banks, Trey Sermon, they were all kind of drafted with a vision to what the offense might be with an 11-on-11 run game as opposed to 10-on-11. I don't know if Banks live up to the expectations, but I think that was the idea.
Yeah, for sure. And it really did. I mean, we talked about it last year. It seemed like they were purposefully trying to redshirt a lot of these guys, getting them ready to play with Trey Lance. I mean, Sermon was one of those guys, Banks clearly. But it just, the whole thing seems kind of odd. But again, rooting for Banks for sure. I think, we've heard Forrester talk about it. We've heard Shanahan talk about it. I think they really do believe in Banks, and letting Tomlinson go certainly speaks volumes of what they do think of what Banks can become. So I'm going to hold judgment on what he ends up being, but it just still seems a little bit odd that you've asked this guy to play out of position, remake his whole body even before he steps on the field. It's just kind of a crazy thing to do with a second round pick.
Yeah. Doesn't seem great.
And well, then the question becomes is, okay, so you're hearing a lot of good things, right? This is the argument that people are making about Trey Lance. Well, you're hearing a lot of good things. Are they forcing it? Well, are they forcing it with Aaron Banks? Is he really looking good? Is he really the guy that they hoped he would be? Or are they trying to spin it and make him better? I don't know. I mean, you're there. Maybe you're seeing something that we're not, obviously, but yeah.
Well, I mean, to me, it's like different positions. With a quarterback, you can kind of judge him a little bit.
Yeah.
With an offensive lineman, it's like all I can say is that his body's a little different and he's starting. Let's see what it looks like when the pads are on.
Yeah.
When he's in one-on-ones. We'll see. That's what I'll let you know.
That's totally
like
fair.
if he can't block freaking Kevin Givens, then I don't know. We'll see. Because Kevin Givens is good. Not to say freaking Kevin Givens. Kevin Givens is good, but he's not even a starting player in the NFL yet. So we'll see. It's the Kevin Givens test. If you can't block Kevin Givens, I don't know if you should be starting for this team because he's not a starter, but he's good. He
You're
is good.
graded on the Kevin Givens curve, right?
That's right.
Okay, that's fair.
That's
All
right. No disrespect to Kevin Gibbons. He's a really good player.
Yeah.
But he hasn't he hasn't become a starter yet. So if you're going to be a starter, you better be able to block the best backup on the Niners team. Better.
Bay Area Baller picked him as his breakout lineman. We know Bay Area Baller is 1-for-1 with Arden Keys, so I'm gonna trust that Givens is pretty good until I'm proven otherwise.
Givens had a sack today, and
Yep.
if Kinlaw, if his knee doesn't recover, and we don't know, we'll see. Givens might be the dude who steps up. So we'll see. He's important.
Good point.